Sam here with Nexus Workshop, and we are looking at the HoLiS system. So far we've talked about the system as a whole, and we've talked about the boxes a little bit, and then we've talked about the party registration and the quest status. That is the entirety of what the players actually see of the system. Everything else is totally back end, and so now we're going to start digging into that. Um, Starting off the back end, let's look at the database tools. So this is where we actually handle the database. So it is password protected. I have a demigod mode and a god mode. You'll see this across many of our apps. God mode has full access to everything, and it says it right up here with this little flag. Demigod mode has like a view access, and depending on which app, it has different things, but it basically won't let us get in too much trouble if we have someone who needs to be able to see things, or maybe even needs to be able to edit some things, like maybe they need to be customer support and they need to be able to change a player's XP, but they don't need to be able to delete a quest or do something to my actual database. Talking about the database real quick, this whole system is running over MQTT, which is how we talk from the boxes back to our server. And then we have a single server app running on that server because it's running all these. It's ultimately 13 apps. You see 9 on the screen there. But it has a single process called the HoLiS API, which is actually serving up and responding to those MQTT messages, responding to the HTTP requests coming from all these web apps, serving up these different web apps. Um, and it is that single point that touches our actual database, which is a SQLite database. It's plenty powerful for our needs here, and plenty fast. It's important that we only have that one app actually touching the database because it is possible to get locks or things. If I have somebody who's like grabbed a player but they haven't finished editing it and written it yet, then that sync and order can mess with things and lock up your database, corrupt your database. So we have that just that one service that is queuing all of those up and handling all of those. Works really well for us. But this is the database tools app. So this is how functionally I'm managing that database. I have different tabs for my parties, where I can look at all the different party information. I can see their logs. I can merge parties together. I can pull players off of that. I can level everybody up. So in a previous video, you saw that I had people that needed to level. I can hit that button, and now they've leveled to where they need to be. I can change their party name. I can look at all the players on there. I can set those memory blocks, clear the memory blocks. If they set one in registration, now I want to get rid of it. I can add players, and that's going to pull them from my players database onto this party. Kind of do whatever I need to do. I have a search up here at the top, so I can look for different parties that would pop up. I can also pull my party ID, and a continuous theme you're going to see here is I can export and import CSVs. So I can take all of my data here, take it out, do things with it, bring it all back in. We don't use it a lot during the run, but you'll just see that everywhere. We're working with a database, so I don't want to ever be touching the database directly. Instead, all of my tools handle that for me. I also have my players. So here's my individual players list, where I can be coming in, doing the things. I can see what they are. I can edit them. I can change their inventory. I can look at their log. Um, there is a player log, a party log, and a quest log. All the quests have logs. That's just writing down everything that happens throughout the night. We're going to use that in our data visualizer later. And I mean, it is, well, I guess that one's not a good example of it. Actually, this one won't be either because I haven't done anything on them in a little bit. But if I look at my party log, instead of looking in the last 2 days, I'm going to look in the last 4 weeks, which is a season for us. And here's all the timestamps of the different things I've done with this party in that time. So they've gone on quests, they've completed quests, they've done all these things. Those logs are how we're going to pull our data into our data visualizer later. We have parties, we have players. That's all pretty straightforward. Quests, we have our actual quests. They all have types. They're puzzles, combats, or adventures. They can be class quests. They have different XP available for each of them. Here's where I could manually assign a party to something. So I've just put my party onto this quest. Um, and it actually right here is giving me an estimate of how long it expects them to be on that quest before they come back. These estimates are all real bad right now because it's been tracking, it's looking at these logs of how long people have been on things and everything. And I'm still in testing on this database. So I keep leaving parties assigned to things, and my averages are all awful. On our main system, that actually ended up being pretty good, and we're able to get really good data about like how long these quests go, how long they come back. It's keeping these running averages. We can change that as averaging windows to look at this weekend, this night, this season, and we can also overwrite them with manual ones. So it is keeping track of throughout the night. I can look at a quest and I can say, hey, this quest has been out for 20 minutes. It says that they're going to be back in 12 minutes. And some of the quests are better than others about being super predictable, but we get down to a lot of them that like we can tell you, yeah, it's going to be back in six. And it's actually really cool how well that works. I can filter by different types of quests here. So if I have someone who's come to me as the artificer, they're like, hey, I kind of want to combat. What do we? How many combats? Someone asks over the radio, how many combats do we have available? I can be looking at that. Though this is all not air traffic control. We're going to talk about that later, and that's the actual place where we're looking at what's happening right now. This is more about what's configured to happen, if that makes sense. With parties on them, we have queued parties. Here's where I can edit the quest. So when I edit the quest, I can choose the quest giver that's giving it. The quest giver is an open text field, but once a quest giver has appeared in one quest, it starts showing up as a like autofill suggest option for every other quest. So you can kind of quickly build that up, even though we don't actually define our quest givers. A lot of other things we do define, here we don't. We have short descriptions, long descriptions. Those show up in our adventure log emails um, in various places. We can make a class quest for any or all of our classes. We can choose which quest area it happens in. Quest areas is something new for this year, where we have like different groupings, and that shows up in our air traffic control as we start to see like, hey, you're in this area, so here's all the quests you have available to you there. There's a thing called side quests, which is not going to be running this year, but it's a future expansion thing that I built in that it enables the system to automatically suggest and then assign new quests when they complete others. So I could go all the way out to that side of town, do that quest, and then at the end of it, it takes a look and says, hey, I have these three available side quests that have been configured for me. This one's free. Do you guys want this one? And it's right next door. So now I can just hop to that one instead of having to come all the way back and get a new quest, go all the way out. Um, it allows us to make sure that players are constantly on quest, constantly having fun. So we're able to kind of air traffic control automatically that movement and push them back and forth. So they're spending less time walking. It also means our quests run more, which is sometimes an issue of just having the right amount of content so that it's all both constantly booked, but also people think that or feel that they always have the choices they want. So side quest is one of the ways that I'm going to be looking to combat that in the future. Again, this lets me just take other quests in here and configure them as side quests with each other in a fully open mesh matrix. Anytime a side quest gets offered up, it actually gets taken off of any quest boards while it's being offered. So there's never a chance that it would get assigned to two people or show to someone and then get yanked out from under them or anything like that. It kind of reserves it as it does that. And that all happens automatically in the back end. We can link quests. So that's the ability to have two quests. Whenever quests are linked, they open and close at the same time, even though they're totally different quests. And they also have the ability to, whenever one of them gets assigned, the other one automatically becomes the top recommendation for everyone. So if one goes out, the other one gets pushed hard until it goes out too, and then they can go out together. And we have exclusive quest IDs. So that concept is the idea that, hey, if this quest runs, this one can't run. So maybe they use the same space, but they have different flows or something like that. We have the ability to take two different quests, make them two different quests, give them different XP, give them different configs, whatever, handle them separately like they should, all of our logging, all of our backend, all of our data. But say, hey, these two can't run at the same time. They have a shared resource of some kind that makes it so that they have to run exclusively. Exclusive quest IDs will do that. So one gets assigned, the other one becomes unavailable. We have our quest flags. We talked about that with the recommendations and whether those get preferred, so they all get there. And then we have two more setup sections. One is my stages setup. So I say, how long is the ultimate quest? And then these are the different stages that this quest has. These all happen to be my global stages. Every quest has these. It gets assigned, the party shows up at the location, the party leaves the location, and then actually, sorry, this one is not everyone. Reset pending. That means reset pending means that it has a specific thing that has to happen before it's allowed to run again. So that gets held in a state. It doesn't get automatically made available when the party completes it. Instead, the reset pending has to get touched by someone. It got reset. It's ready to go again. The other three exist on everything. I can also create new stages. I can have more global stages. So like here are all of my global stages that I have. And then I can also create a unique stage that's just on this one that just helps me track the progress of this quest. Those stages are things that can be interacted with by non-player characters through button boxes, through the NPC dashboard, or air traffic control can drive them. Um, and they don't have to happen. The system can jump over them and jump to the end. So if something gets missed or something isn't working right, a button box is giving us is being finicky. We didn't train someone on it. Whatever. We can just kind of like hop over these things. It never like halts our system and stalls us. Um, but those also each have their own estimated end time. So I talked about those time averages and how like throughout the night it's keeping track of how long each of these things have. Those estimates and those averages all change as we step through those stages. So those are our like hard points that it knows. Hey, the party left. All they have to do is walk back. So that right now it's estimated to be 5 minutes, but that average is going to drive that up or down if we find that, hey, it takes people longer to walk from this far quest location, whatever. Show an NPC is the NPC dashboard, so I can choose whether or not it shows up as a button for them to interact with and follow. Allow assignment. Uh, means and soft complete, those two things mean that it can actually free up the quest for future. So if there's a point of no return at this point, I know that the quest is about to end. It's going to end surely. There's nothing that can slow me down, and truly, from a behavior standpoint, there has to be nothing that can slow me down. Then I can choose allow assignment, and from that stage on, they're all going to get it. And that means that at that point, it actually takes the party off of the quest officially and soft completes them. So it marks to their log, hey, they finished this. It frees up that quest. It starts showing up on quest boards again. It starts being an option for people to pick, to get recommended and go. And then from there, the next time they come back and go to a quest giver to get their quest completed, it looks in that log, it sees the soft complete and gives them the XP for it. So it kind of like officially takes them off of the quest, even though they're finishing the last bits of it, freeing up that quest to get assigned to someone else. That lets us start to have this overlap because it takes players a certain amount of time to go from I got the quest assigned to I actually show up in the room to do the thing. Some of them have multiple stages that they have to get through to get there. And again, the walk back takes time as well. So now we can overlap those times so we're not as inefficient with, hey, I have this quest taken up for 45 minutes, but really I could overlap that by 20 minutes and the players would never see each other. We have to be careful with that. We have to think about that and how we apply it to the game itself. But when used well, that is insanely powerful. And then my last one is the NPC dashboard. I'm going to briefly touch on this, but then the NPC dashboard itself we will show. And that's a web app, runs on an iPad, is the design. And that's for our game masters doing battles or our puzzle techs, things like that, where they're in the room running the room. They have this iPad stashed away that lets them interact with the players, and it can keep track of anything. So we can keep track of toggles, checkboxes. They opened the chest. They did the thing. It can do counters. They collected 5 jewels. They have, they got hit 2 times out of their maximum 3 because it can count up or down. It can have drop downs. Which option did they choose? And all these things are getting written to their logs. So they're data points that we have for later. They're things that could even carry into future years. We could start having things where when you go on a quest, it shows, hey, that quest you did last year, you did this thing. These are all just ideas that we've had to pitch into how can we kind of break the system and add these new, really unique player experiences. And there's all sorts of ways we can do it right here in the NPC dashboard. The other thing we added, someone asked for, was audio. So it has the ability to do background music as well as sound effects. The background music can change based on stage. So remember, we had all those quest stages. We could have boss appears stage, and that changes the background music, and it goes to a different loop that's more menacing, or end game, and it goes to a really triumphant soundtrack. So we can have all those, and it's playing directly from that iPad loaded up in that browser. It gives them the ability to manually change the tracks, or it can, again, automatically happen when they do things. And then you can also have sound effects. So you can build a little bump counter. They shoot the ceiling and it comes crumbling down, and you hit the thing and it does all this stuff. So a lot of fun. Again, think of your D&D game mastering experience, and we've kind of built all of that into the NPC dashboard. Database tools is one of our biggest ones. There's a lot going on. It's the system. Um, Shared NPCs, these are characters that exist out in the world and each touch multiple quests. So here I can see the name of the character, and I can see all the different quests that they have and the stage that they interact in. The reason that stage is important is there is a piece of the air traffic control that will show you that keeps track of those stages, and when they've all passed, lets us release them. It tells us they're done for the night. We'll touch that when we touch air traffic control, but here's where I can configure those NPCs. Again, there's a concept that we have going on where we try not to have things hard coded in this is the list of things or this is the behavior. Everything is editable in this database so it can grow year to year to year because this system changes completely year to year. No quests are reused. I guess NPCs are reused, but they're not on the same quest. Like there's a lot of different things that change every time. Are kind of like quests, but they don't really have a party on them. So quests, a party gets on them, and then they go and they do the thing, and then they come back and they finish it. An objective is something that just happened. So at quest night, you get XP for taking a picture because it helps with social media marketing. So you get 2 XP just for doing it. There's just a HoLiS box sitting there. Tap the party crest. They did the objective. They get the XP. In here, we're able to configure how often they can do it. So we can change that repeatability. We can say you can only do it once, you can do it as much as you want, or you can only do it once a night. Um, that lets us do things like with the photo, you shouldn't be able to just farm XP taking all your pictures. So you can also do it for like battle training or for buying something or whatever you want. Lots of options, but objectives are little just bonus things. They also get treated differently when we visualize the data because they're instantly happening. So we wouldn't want that to skew our average quest time or things like that. So they are their own category here. Items have to do with inventory. We're going to test the inventory system later, but this is where it gets configured. So we have all of our items and all of our item types. Um, there's a lot to this. We're just going to touch that in the inventory video. And my global config stuff. I have my quest areas. So that for this year is just Scaria and Brookston. But because I don't hard code things, I can build that here, and that goes across my ATC, my quest boards, all the other things. My global quest stages are configured here. Um, my party red settings are here, so I can turn on and off those ability to have questions, what the flags are and the preferences, and how they work. So here I can figure out my question. I have how many options does it have, and what does that do? Like, what flags matter for it? What is it weighing against? And what are those weights that it's going to use for those registrations? So, like those facts, they actually behave differently. Here, the physical versus mental question is very strong and polarizing on those flags, versus some of my other questions, like this one, is strong in one direction, but the other direction actually doesn't do very much. So I can change that behavior of how that logic applies. I have my printer configuration. That's how I have a little receipt printer that handles inventory at the end of the night. So I've got that here. Um, and then let me see what else I got. I have my leveling tiers. This is where players level. I have my email config, which won't open up, but that is for sending the adventure log and some other automated emails that the system can send out at the end of the night. We'll talk about that more. And my database backup. This is where I can have automatic backups, which you may have noticed up here where it said backups disabled because I have automatic turned off. But it is set up so that it will automatically back up the system at boot and then whenever I've configured it. So I'm going to be setting it to, I'm only going to have it set up to do it on weekends when we're running, but at the end of the night, it'll automatically send a backup. And it both stores it locally and I have it set to automatically email it out to me with the anonymized data. So it pulls all the emails and player names out, and then it sends me all of the back end data, emails it to me offsite. So it's nice and safe. This is also where I could wipe my databases with my neuralize function. That does a couple things. It has multiple confirmation points. It also takes a backup first before it wipes. And I can restore from backup. So if I have my databases somewhere else, I pulled them in from another system or another computer, I'm bringing a new computer online, whatever, restore backup is how I can go pull that in. And I can, of course, download and save everything. We also have our DataViz package. This is where I would export it. And again, I have it set to automatically send that out so that I can do my data visualization during the week. The only thing I didn't talk about here yet is this little settings box. Everybody has this, but it's this little zoom setting. That is, I mean, it's literally just a zoom setting. But especially with tablets. When you're viewing some of these things, you don't always have the ability to zoom out, and you have less screen real estate. So this lets you configure that. And then your paired station. That's your HoLiS box. The reason it's important for this one, for database tools, I can identify it to make sure that it's paired and talking and working. But the reason it's important on this one is if I scan a party crest, it will jump me to that party tab and bring that party up. If I scan a quest, it'll jump to the quest tab and bring that quest up. And then also my tag writer here is how I can actually write those tags. Works on my same paired HoLiS station. I say, hey, I got a party. It's going to be party 2, and I need it to be perpetual. Click send, and then I can tap that tag, and now it has written that to that tag, and it gives me a little success message there. That was a beast, but that is database tools. That is the heart and one of the biggest pieces of HoLiS. And again, the reason I'm sharing all of this is because this is the type of system that we build here at Nexus Workshop, on the more configuration, gameplay, immersive experience, escape room level. If this is something that seems interesting to you, you want to talk about it, you want to talk to us about a specific project, or just in general, you have questions, whatever, we're here for the community, and we're also here to support people who need things like this because we love making things like this. So definitely reach out. We'd love to hear from you.